Shalom, shalom, Mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Chris Shoemaker, also known as Yehuda Ben Shomer, and today I want to talk to you about a word that the Lord had given to me the other day. As I was at a special service in the praise and worship, the Lord just kind of spoke to my heart and kind of revealed to me the time that the believers are about to go through. Now, before I get into any specifics about this, I do want to preface this like I preface every word that I get from the Lord. I'm not sure if this is just for me and the local community of believers here in this little village where I live, or if this word is for the body of Messiah at large and will impact the body of Messiah at large. So just in case it is, I'm putting it out there, and it's up to you to decide whether you get that check in your spirit, whether the Holy Spirit confirms for you that this word is not just for this local body, but for you as well. But as we were doing praise and worship the other day at this particular meeting that I was at, I seen this person with kind of an itchy sweater. You know, they're uncomfortable, and they just can't sit still, and you know they're itching and they're scratching and everything, and so they're uncomfortable. So when somebody's in an uncomfortable position, what do? Well, if they're wearing an itchy sweater, wow, well, they take it off. Problem solved, right? You know, so the Lord is bringing us into a particular point in time in the believer's life where He's going to make us feel uncomfortable. And it's going to be different for every single person, because what makes me uncomfortable may not make you uncomfortable. You may love wool sweaters, and you may not be itchy when wearing wool sweaters. Somebody else maybe, and they want to throw the sweater off. So, you know, kind of like Princess P, you know, the fairy tale of Princess P, where, you know, she's sleeping on like umpteen mattresses, and there's just one little tiny pea on the very bottom mattress, and yet through all those layers and stacks of mattresses, she can feel that little pea, that little bump, and it just makes her uncomfortable, and she can't rest and she can't sleep. So God is going to bring some uncomfortable situations into our heart, into our life, into our mind. He's going to make us uncomfortable for the purpose of trying to find out what's causing that discomfort and to correct it. And why? Because He wants to make our situation better. So that's just kind of one half of that word that I received from the Lord. And the second thing is, He brought me back to an earlier time in the service when the praise and worship band was tuning up. You know, and they're tuning, you know, and then they're playing, and they mess up and they hit a sour note or something, and or there's feedback in the amplifiers. And God showed me that we are like those instruments, that each and every one of us are an instrument in His hands. And for us to bring a beautiful melody, for us to bring praise, glory, and honor to Him, for us to make a joyful noise for Him, sometimes we have to go through a season of tuning, being tuned up. You just can't pick up an instrument and play it 24/7 and play it all the time and it stay in tune. Eventually, the longer you play it, the more out of tune it gets, because the strings on the guitar or the bass, they stretch out, and the keys that you turn the strings with, they loosen up, and they just get out of tune, and it's not a pure sound. It's not an enjoyable sound. Whenever they're tuning up and it just kind of hits a sour note, people are like, ugh, and they cover their ears. They don't want to hear it, or the feedback in the microphones or in the amplifiers, and they're just plugging their ears because it's so painful and it hurts. And so God He is using us as instruments. We are instruments in His hand to bring a beautiful message, to make beautiful music into His name, and to bring praise and glory and honor to Him in a very beautiful way. And when somebody's playing an instrument and they're playing it very well, it doesn't make people run away like when you're tuning it up, or when or when there's feedback in the amplifiers. But when you're tuned up and it's a very well fine-tuned instrument, and somebody is a master at playing that instrument, they draw people and bring people and attract people to them. And that's what God wants to do with us. We are His instrument in His hand. You know, some people may be a tuba, some people may be a guitar, some people may be a drum. You know, just as Paul was talking about how we're different parts of the body, but yet all these different parts work together as one for one purpose. And if one part of the body hurts, the rest of the body hurts. You know, if I stub my toe in the middle of the night, get into the kitchen to get a snack, you know, I'm hopping and I'm cradling that sore toe, and I'm in pain. You know, I can't function. My body can't function right. You know, I have to wait until the pain in the toe subsides before I can walk normally again, before I can walk with purpose and precision to do whatever I was going to do. So one little thing affecting one small part of the body affects the whole body as a whole. And it's the same thing with instruments. We may be different instruments in God's band. We may be different instruments in God's orchestra. And God has to tune each and every one of us up so we're in harmony, so we're in sync, so we can make a beautiful song together. So we can bring a beautiful message to the world. And He wants to use each and every one of us as instruments. But sometimes as we live our life as a believer and we go through life, we get out of tune, we get out of sync, we get out of step, we get out of harmony. And so it's very uncomfortable, and we just don't feel right, and things aren't moving along smoothly, and things are clunky. And so when that happens, God has to take us aside and tune us up. And it hurts our ears. It's a painful process. It's not comfortable, and you know we don't like where we're at. But it's necessary for us to go through that tuning process so that we're in sync, so that we're in harmony with God. We're in harmony with His Word. We're in harmony with His Messiah. We're in harmony with His Spirit. We're in harmony with His call. We're in harmony with the other believers around us, so that we can work together as one to accomplish His purpose. So we're about to go into this season of being uncomfortable. So get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you know you got to find out what's making you itch. You've got to find out what's making you uncomfortable. You've got to face that. You've got to address that in a spiritual and scriptural way, and you've got to get through it so you can come to that place of comfort and of normalcy again. And it's the same as an instrument. Being an instrument in the Lord's hands, God has to tune you up until you're in sync, until you're in harmony with Him and with His Word and with His purpose. And right now in this uncomfortable place, in this uncomfortable situation, you're wonky, you're clunky, you're not flowing. You may feel like you're not hearing from the Spirit. You may just feel like you're not doing anything right, and you're just stumbling along. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong necessarily. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you're in that place where God is tuning you up. He is putting you in sync with His will, His purpose, and His way. So just go into this season and just let it be. You know, don't try to force God's hand. Don't try to force God's situation. Don't try to rush through this tuning process, this process of discovering what makes you uncomfortable. Just go with it. Go with the flow and allow God to use, move, and work through you, so you can get to that place of comfort. You can get to that place of normalcy and homeostasis, if you will. So you can get to that point in that place of being in tune and in sync and in harmony with God, His will, His work, His way, His purpose, His Spirit, His Word, His people. And so when God does that, God is going to put you back out there so that you can perform, put you back out there so that you can draw and attract people to Him through the beautiful music that He makes through you. So right now, it's kind of like halftime at a game. You know, you're in the locker room. You're learning from your mistakes. You're going over the first half of the game and learning what you did right, learning what you did wrong, learning what you need to do to win this game and to accomplish the purpose and the goal as a team. And so God has us in this very uncomfortable, brief season and period of time so that He can get His people together, and He can get His people one, and get all of His people on the same page so that we can go back out there and do His will. And see, this is a process of revival. This is a process of evangelism. This is a process of seeing God's work and His will and His way come to pass. And so this isn't a fun time. This isn't a time that we relish or that we ask for or call for or look forward to, but it is a necessary time, and it's a short period of time. It's not going to last very long. So while you're in it, just hang tough, hang tight, and enjoy it, and allow God to tune you up. Allow God to bring you into harmony, into sync. Allow God to bring before you those things that are making you uncomfortable, so you can face them and deal with them and get them behind you, so that you can be your best for God when He puts you back out there to make beautiful music in His name. So Anyways, thanks for watching. Shalom and Shavuot Tov.